Hello everyone and welcome back to this Football Manager 2017 experiment where we take a look at what would happen if every club in the Premier League was owned by its fans. Now last time off we went through at least one election cycle, and we got up towards the second election cycle as well. In fact, no, we did go through two elections. We're just at the start of the third election that's about to take place. They're happening every 3 years. And it's been hard to distinguish what the impact has been of the elections. Right at the start, we had all kinds of promises for new stadiums coming in. The only tangible promise that I really saw was Manchester City promising to sign players and then going out there and doing just that. If we have a quick look at their transfer history for the last season, you can see they spent £178 million one year and £148 million the year before, 128 before that. They've been spending a lot of money, to be fair. It keeps on going out the club. Some big transfers in there, but nothing too major. I think the other big team to make a promise like that might have been Manchester United, if I remember right. You can see £79 million on Diawara from PSG. Other big transfers, not too many actually, a lot lower spending, although they did put out £157 million signing James Rodriguez as well, and £180 million a year before that. And then £112 million on Bernardo Silva. So Manchester United, very, very big spenders as well. Now, something pointed out to me in the comments was that Bournemouth did expand their stadium. Bournemouth no longer in the Premier League, though, which isn't good for them. But they did apparently expand their stadium. So we're going to go past the date of the election now. We'll have a look at what promises have been made. We'll then go forward 3 years, see if anybody delivered on those promises. And then 3 years after that, we'll again look at the election results and see what else has changed in that time. Well, we have now gone past the date of the election, and as you can see, Colin Wise was looking to get re-elected, and he would put a considerable boost to the club's finances to put them in a stronger position to compete. He did then go and win the election quite comfortably, apparently, and he cut the board with Boreham Wood because they wanted to change strategy at the club. So Arsenal, a team to watch after that decision. If we drop down to Burnley and look for their elections, I can't see anything on the news screen. Chelsea, they did have their elections. Election day, Thomas Wilson said that if he was re-elected, he would just keep running the club in the same way. He did then go and win the election, so no big changes from Chelsea. Palace, if we look at their election day, was looking to oust the chairman and keep running the club in the same way. And when the election way did come, it was White who won the election. So nothing changing at Palace. If we look at Everton, they were going to keep running the club the same way as before, so no changes there. Huddersfield did not have elections. Hull, they should have had some elections, but I can't see anything on the screen. Leicester, they had their election day, and Lee Rowland was looking to build a new stadium for Leicester. We've heard that before. We'll have to see if it does happen, but he did win the election. So Leicester and Arsenal are two teams to keep an eye on at the moment. The election day for Liverpool was going to carry on in the same way as before. At Manchester City, we had Danny Dickinson saying that he was going to, if he got elected, put money into the club's finances. He did then win the election, so we'll have to see. Manchester City and Arsenal, the two clubs claiming to spend some money at the moment. The election for Manchester United, again looking at putting money into the elections. So that's City, Arsenal and United at this point, all promising to do that. Newcastle did not have elections. Norwich, did they have elections? It does not look like it. Southampton. Anything here for Southampton? Nothing there. Oh, here it is. That's why the election day arrives for them. No changes for Southampton. For Stoke, again, keeping things exactly as they are. Sunderland, they were going to look at building a new stadium. I'll be surprised if that does happen. Spurs were going to keep running the club the same way as before. Watford, they are going to boost their finances. That is one to take a look at then. Sharp did win the election. They've cut the link with Hemel Hempstead as well. So Watford are up there with Arsenal as two teams to really keep an eye on. Now, election day at West Brom. Was going to look at a new stadium, another one that I will believe when I see it. And at West Ham, we can see that more money was going to be pumped into the club. So that's a few teams to keep an eye on. Arsenal especially one of them. I think the other club, it was Watford, who were going to put a lot of money into the club, if we remember. So Watford and West Ham are probably the two big clubs to keep an eye out for. We can have a look at Leicester and other teams that said they were going to build a new stadium. But let's go forward 3 years, and especially with Watford and West Ham, see how much money has been put into the club. Well, we are now 3 years in the future, and if we start by looking at the Premier League table, the first season after those elections, Arsenal did go and win the league by 11 points over Chelsea. Watford finished up in 9th as well, so it looks like there might have been a spending spree there. Sunderland, Huddersfield and Norwich are teams to go down. The following year, Arsenal again winning the title, but Watford, who were meant to have all that money, getting relegated. West Ham nearly getting relegated as well, so that is not good news for those two teams and their respective owners. The year after that, Chelsea did win the league. Leicester got relegated, which is not good news for them. Other big teams, Manchester United up there as well, but Chelsea won it by quite some distance in the end. So no major surprises there. Now, if we have a look at Watford, who have come back up, they do have rich finances. And if we look at their transfer history and then go back a few years, they were promised all this money. They actually sold £88 million of players when they got relegated after spending £40 million. They spent £45 million the year before that and £43 million the year before that, which is consistent with the money that they were spending before. So that promise was not delivered on even a little bit as far as I'm concerned. West Ham, maybe they did deliver on their promises. We can have a look at their transfer history and find out. If we start with the first season before they made this promise, £43 million was spent. The year after that, 42.5 million, so even less. After that, 48 and then £12 million. They are just not delivering on these promises. I don't know if the game actually allows for the clubs to build on these promises. If we look at the stadiums, we've got Old Trafford still there. All the stadiums look exactly the same to me. I don't think there's anything else new in here. I mean, there's a few stadiums from the newly promoted teams, but they're all exactly the same as they were before. There's been no changes whatsoever to any of the stadiums. There's just all of these promises seem like they're completely hot air at the moment. Now, one big area where, given the Premier League's at the top of the rankings and has stayed there, that doesn't always happen. So I think they must be still doing very, very well in Europe. And if we look at the Champions Cup, we can see it's currently held by Chelsea, and the past winners, there's so many English teams in with these past winners. People point out that the 16-17 final was between Real Madrid and Juventus. It was won by Real Madrid in the end, so maybe that's foreshadowing for the game on Saturday. But Arsenal, then Barcelona, 2 for United, 1 for Chelsea, 1 for Barcelona, 1 for United, 1 for Chelsea again, and Chelsea had 2 other final appearances in there as well. Spurs in the final as well in 17-18. English teams dominating in the Champions League at the moment, and in the Europa League, even the likes of West Brom are winning the Europa League, which means West Brom were in the Champions League this season. I'm actually interested now to figure out how far they got in the Champions League. I think the Europa League winners go in at the group stage. So if we go back 1 year and look at the group stage and all groups, we should be able to see West Brom in here somewhere. They actually qualified. West Brom qualified from their Champions League group ahead of Dortmund. What has gone on at West Brom? If we have a look at the first knockout round, they were beaten by Barcelona 5-2, but only 3-2 in the home leg. Doing very well there, but it meant there were 5 teams in the knockout stages of the Champions League. That is certainly a highlight of this experiment so far. But it does say that there is something going on, that the English teams are doing well in Europe. I don't know if that's because they've got fan-owned club, because the owners are actually accountable to the fans and have to put money in. But if we look at the big transfers, you can see £69 million, £67 million. A few big transfers in there. Brighton spending £24 million as well. The year before that, £95 million on a player from West Brom for Chelsea, 74 spent by United on Thomas Lemar from Monaco. Some big transfers in there. West Brom reinvesting their money a bit as well. The year before that, transfers looked pretty sedate that year actually, and before that there were a few big transfers as well. But it is very hard to discern what the difference is between the clubs. As far as I'm aware, they've pretty much all still got the same owners. If we have a quick look at Bournemouth and their general information, we can see that they still have elections planned for the 16th of July. So I think most of the teams, if not all of them, still have the same ownership structure. I don't think the game changes that very much when you've got a fan-owned club. And I might have even in the editor made sure that they remained a fan-owned club as well, because we wanted to see what the impact of having fans in charge would be. And at the moment, it is success in Europe for English teams. So let's go forward through the next election, which is a couple of days away, and then we'll go 3 more years ahead to see if this dominance can continue in Europe. Well, the elections are here now, and if we look at Arsenal, we can see that they're looking to build a new stadium. I'm going to go through these very quickly. Aston Villa in there as well. Bournemouth, they're going to put money into their finances, allegedly. Burnley, not on there at the moment. I'm interested in Burnley's ownership structure. They do have elections, but for some reason they're in December. Maybe that's a mistake on my part. But at least they are still fan-owned. That is the main thing. If we drop down to Chelsea and look at their election day, they're going to build a brand new stadium, apparently. I'm not sure they actually are. Crystal Palace, they're going to keep running the club in the same way as they were before. Everton, they're going to keep going as before. Hull, where are their elections? Maybe Hull don't have elections. Let's have a look at their general information. Now, their elections are in December as well, so I think that's probably a mistake on my part. Liverpool, they are going to keep running the club as before. Manchester City, what are they going to do? Surely they're going to spend a bit of cash. Yep. Well, they're going to build a new stadium, apparently. Apparently, the City of Manchester Stadium, or whatever it's called these days, the Etihad, I think, isn't good enough for them. Manchester United are going to keep running the club as before. Ultimately, I don't think it matters what the promises are, because none of them have been delivered on so far. So let's just go forward 3 years. We'll see if any new stadiums have been built, if any clubs have really gone on a spending binge, and if that dominance in Europe can continue. Well, we are 3 more years in the future, and when we left off, Chelsea were the league champions. So yet next year they win it again, 2 points clear of United. No major surprises in the league table. West Brom doing very well at the moment, so I might have a better look at their team. Again, Chelsea winning the league, but only by 3 goals over Arsenal. United just 2 points behind as well. West Brom again finishing in 7th place. And then the final season again, Chelsea winning the league. West Brom again finishing 7th. Not breaking into the top 6, but very much the best of the rest at this point. Arsenal 11 points off the eventual winners. So Chelsea now, if we look at their past winners, have won it 4 years on the bounce. United won it 4 on the bounce, then Arsenal 3, now Chelsea 4. So certainly waves of success at the moment. Now, the 2 clubs who transfers I really want to take a look at are Chelsea and West Brom. Chelsea spending a lot of money, over £100 million a year, every single year. I'm not sure if that's too much out of the norm. But West Brom are the other club spending a lot of money. You can see now they finished 7th or above every year for a long, long time. So something is going on here. If we look at their transfer history, you can see we'll have to go forward now. They were starting down at the beginning with 12, 40, 27, 17, and then they started spending 61, 53, 27, 35, 67, 78, and now currently about 13 million, 16 million, and 60 million. So it's swinging quite violently for West Brom. They're spending either about 80 million or 10 million, but it's leading to success overall. If we look at their general information, we can see that they are preparing for elections in 2 days' time, but they're still fan-owned, no changes there. They're just making the most of the Premier League money and doing quite well. Now, if we look at their competitions, remember they were in the Champions League once upon a time, and look at the past winners of the FA Cup, we'll see that it's pretty standard teams, except for Sunderland popping in there with an FA Cup win, which is a little bit surprising. In the EFL Cup, past winners there. Any big surprises? Burnley won the EFL Cup. Stoke won it as well. A couple of random teams thrown in there. But overall, still the big clubs winning those competitions. In the Europa League, who has won this in the last 3 years? It has gone to City. West Brom again winning the Europa League. They loved this competition, and City in there twice in 3 years winning this competition, now 3 times overall. English teams dominating at the moment, and in the Champions League again, English teams absolutely dominating. I have never seen English teams dominate the Champions League and Europa League like this before, so maybe that is the impact of this experiment. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you see dominance on this level in Europe just in a normal game, because the fan-owned game, I never see this normally. It might just be a fluke of the save, but I think it might be related to the fan-owned clubs as well, because it's not just the winners, it's the finalists as well. Chelsea now 7 appearances in the Champions League final in this experiment. It's only been going 12 years. Manchester United have won it 4 times since this experiment started, and Arsenal even winning the Champions League in there as well. I mean, only Real Madrid and Barcelona have won the Champions League other than English teams at this point. So that has got to be something out of the ordinary. Real Madrid losing it 3 times in the final. But yeah, that's got to be an impact of the Premier League clubs being fan-owned, surely. I mean, if we have a look at the Premier League transfers and how much money has been spent over the last 3 years, you can see 84 million, 101 million from Chelsea signing someone from PSG, 77, 75 million in there as well. Some big key transfers. They're signing the best players in the game, the English teams at the minute. £90 million from PSG. So PSG not just taking players, they're selling them as well for huge amounts of money. Whereas normally they're just buying up players. They are losing some of their best players from the looks of it. And West Brom also going out there and spending up to £61 million on a player from Spurs. West Brom really going for it at the moment now with 2 Europa Leagues in a row under their belt. I am also interested in how they got on in the Champions League. If we jump up and have a look at the stages screen of the Champions League, go back 1 year and take a look at the group stages and see where West Brom finished up. They actually won their Champions League group. They beat Bayern to the top of their group. What is going on at West Brom? If we have a look at the first knockout round, we can see they did lose to Barcelona again. So unfortunate to pull out Barca both times, especially as they won the group this time. But there were 5 English teams in the last 16 again. 4 of them made it to the quarterfinals, and 3 of them went through to the semi-finals, where Real Madrid got knocked out for an all-English final. So there you go, and it was a repeat of the 2008 final, I think it was, maybe 2009. Or I've got that date completely wrong, I think. But Manchester United beating Chelsea 3-0 in that final in Istanbul. So definitely English dominance all across the board at the moment. This is completely unprecedented for me. Let me know in the comments what you think about this, and also drop a like on the video if you do want to see a 3rd part to this. I think if I do one more part, it will almost certainly be the last part, because this is a very difficult experiment to quantify. None of the promises being made are being met in any kind of directly related way, but it's possible that the pressure of the elections on the owners is leading to teams performing better in big competitions, certainly in Europe. I've never seen this kind of dominance before. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. And also, as I said, drop likes on the video. I'll only do another part to this if you guys are interested. So if there's no likes, I won't do another part. But that is going to be it for this part of the experiment at least. And until next time, see ya.